Our currency, detecting counterfeits. What we're going to do right now is we're going to go over the different means to detect counterfeit currency and how we could go ahead and
Now right here we have our current
and previous
and what
generations
other means
of
that we
currency.
use to identify
On the left is the current currency we have, and on the right is the previous generation. The right is missing the $2 bill, which is in fact a real bill. Now what you notice is that as each generation goes on, they get better and better techniques to go ahead and to prevent forgeries. Now they all will still maintain the same precedence for the dollar denomination, and for the most part the same picture on the back of the bills. Those will stay constant. So what they're doing is that they change things around and they add new security features to throw off the forgers. Now who's who and what's what? On the $1 bill we have George Washington with the overseeing eye over the pyramid. In God We Trust, as well as the eagle on the back. The $2 bill is Thomas Jefferson with the Declaration of Independence signing. The $5 bill is Abraham Lincoln and the Lincoln Memorial. $10 bill is Alexander Hamilton and the U.S. Treasury. Moving over to the $20 bill is Andrew Jackson and the White House. The $50 bill is Ulysses S. Grant and the U.S. Capitol. And then we end with my favorite bill, Benjamin Franklin on the $100 bill and Independence Hall on the back. Now, what are the different methods we use to detect fake currency? Well, there are going to be three that we're going to focus on. You have your counterfeit detection pens, your ultraviolet light, and then the most important person to detect is yourself. We are going to be the best detectors at identifying counterfeit currency. Now let's go ahead and take a look at ourselves and see what we use to visually inspect the currency. First, does the currency look right? Can you feel texture on the currency? Let's take a look at this $10 bill on the left. Something doesn't look right. Something is just not matching. Now when we look a little bit closer, it's George Washington. I don't recall George Washington being on the $10 bill. Of course, right here it also says $1. So what the counterfeiter did right here is that they simply replaced the $10. They either reprinted over a real bill or they've actually cut and pasted the $10 over on top. So does the denomination match the president as well as the text? In this case, no. Also, what you want to look at is the lines. Are the lines nice, crisp, and clear? The serial numbers. Do they match? Does the serial number up on the top left quadrant match the one on the bottom right quadrant? Believe it or not, some counterfeiters have actually made that mistake in having the wrong serial number. Also, there are times where if you're getting multiple $100 bills, they have the same serial number because they're printing it on a printing press or what have you. Remember, serial numbers are unique. For every bill has its own unique serial number. And can you read the microprinting? Right in this 100 right over here, there's very tiny printing. You can barely see it in this picture. But if you hold the $100 bill up, you can clearly look at it and see it. And you can see the printing is right. When somebody reproduces that, they can't reproduce the microprinting. So most likely you won't see any printing, or it'll just be shaded like the 100 was shaded in with a pencil or pen. Now the paper itself. Did you know that the currency is not actually on paper? It's actually on a special type of linen that was made exclusively for the U.S. currency. Now that linen will have different fibers embedded inside the linen, either red or blue fibers that are in the linen. You can see this. So does that currency have those fibers? Let's look a little bit closer at the $50 bill. But keep in mind, a lot of these security features are consistent from bill to bill. So just because we're looking at one denomination, does that mean that the other denominations don't have these similar features? Now what the bills have is a watermark. Right in this section that I'm hovering around, there's a watermark that if you hold it up to light, it appears. Now does that watermark match the president's face? Look at the 50. The 50 has kind of a copper color to it. If you were to go ahead and turn the bill on an angle, that copper color turns to green. So does that bill have shift changing ink that changes when you move it around? The bills are also going to have a security thread that goes right through the bill. Does your bill have a security thread? Now keep in mind, the only bills that will not have the security thread are the $1 and $2 bills, but all others will have it. And over here on the left is an example of the security thread. This one is under a UV light and it lights up yellow. Now there's also other things you could look at, such as does the A in the serial number match the A in the quadrant? You could look at the year, different features on the bill. But let's focus on the simple ones. Watermark, thread in the paper, shift changing ink, the security thread, the texture, the microprinting, the clean lines. Now here's an example of a counterfeit next to a genuine bill. Now if you notice, good old Benjamin Franklin, his face looks a little dull on the left. Whereas the real bill, it's bright. It has life in it. It's almost like it's 3D. Also, you notice the writing on the fake bill is not as bold. It doesn't stand out. Now if this had been a genuine bill, I can assure you that the picture, the writing, and the lines are all going to be nice and crisp and clear. Also, there's no break in lines. Let's look over on the bottom left picture. I'm going to go ahead and circle this for you. Right there on the one, you notice these lines right here? They're broken up. There's spaces in it. If this would have been printed on a US Mint printing press, you would not have those spaces missing. So that goes to show you another reason why that bill is fake. The final thing I'm going to point out here is the different layers. You notice on the right, on the genuine bill, you can clearly see layers. You have the paper, you have the circular emblem, and then you have the $100 written right across the emblem. You can see how it kind of, in what order it goes. Paper, circle, 100. On the left, it's all flat and dull. It's like it's just one image. Because that's what happens when you make a copy of it. If you go and put this on a photocopy, it's not going to be able to bring that vibrance out such as the printing press does in the US Mint. Now, a few other things too is that these scallops are typically be sharp. On our fake bills, sometimes they're a little bit rounded. Now, as I mentioned, the currency, they have a security strip in it, all except for the $1 and $2 bill. Now, security strips are in different locations on the bill, and they also have a different color that reacts to ultraviolet light. Now, the counterfeit detection pen, that is probably the most common tool used to detect whether a bill is fake or not. Now, let me explain how the counterfeit detection pen works. As I explained, the paper that the bills are printed on are not really paper at all. It's a special linen. It's made out of fibers. Paper has starch in it. So when you use these fake pens, they're actually looking to see whether somebody has the right paper or not. So this bill on the right where it says fake, if it's the wrong paper, it's going to come up and show that the mark is black or very dark. If the paper is quote unquote real, it's going to have a light tan or yellowish color. Now you may have heard me say quote unquote real. Again, if this had been a quality good counterfeiter, they may have access to paper that is similar to the paper that the bills are printed on. They may have paper that's actually made out of linen, just as the US currency is. Now mind you, the thing that they won't have is the paper or the linen that has the fibers in it. So that's one reason why the counterfeit detection pens sometimes don't work. It's all based on the actual material that the bills are printed on. Now the ultraviolet light, this is a good detection method because what it does is it reacts to the security strips in each bill, and it also helps the watermark to come through. Now if you go ahead and look on this machine or this little platform, it has the different bills listed on the side along with the colors. Now these colors coordinate with how the security strip reacts to the black light or ultraviolet light. For instance, let's take a look. We have a $50 bill on here. The $50 bill, you look right over here in the 50 section, you have a yellow line. Well, sure enough, it reacts as yellow. The line also shows you where on the bill it's supposed to appear. Now you can't see it from this angle too, but the light underneath will help to show the watermark come through. Now some of the things you're not going to have to memorize it because if you have this box on, you see it's already listed, but the $5 bill will have a blue line, The $10 bill will have an orange line, the $50 bill will have a yellow, $20 bill will be a green, and the $100 bill will be a red. And that's, again, what it'll appear if there's ultraviolet light presented to it. And you can use any type of black light for it. It doesn't have to be this little tool that you have here. Now, what happens if you do receive a counterfeit? First of all, don't panic. Do not return it to the passer. That'd be considered passing counterfeit. Notify your manager immediately, and what you want to do is get a good description of the person that gave you the bills. Was it a man or a woman? Was there anyone with them? What were they wearing? Did they say anything that may have been odd? Any type of information that could possibly be useful, you're going to want to gather. If you do see them leaving a car, try to get the description of the car and the license plate. At that point, your manager will contact the local police department. Be sure to write your initials on the white outer edge of the bill and the date on it. And do not touch it. Try to keep your hands off the bill. Because remember, Secret Service is going to want to look for fingerprints. They don't want to mix it up with yours. Then, once we place it in an envelope, we notify the authorities, turn it over to an identified police officer or Secret Service agent. Now, let me go ahead and give you a big warning in advance. The warning is to protect our guests. Not every guest is a criminal. Not every guest that has a counterfeit bill has intended on doing it. It's quite often that these counterfeit bills are passed in circulation without our knowing. It's possible you may have a counterfeit bill in your possession that you're unaware of. That's just the nature of the currency. The currency gets exchanged from gas station to convenience store, from hand to hand, and so on. So just because a person passes you a counterfeit bill, don't immediately assume that they're a criminal, and don't only immediately assume that we're going to go ahead and have them arrested. The most important thing is that we get the information, the currency, and we present it to the people that are going to go ahead and do the investigations. And they're going to be the ones that's going to determine whether it was done lawfully or unlawfully, and they'll proceed from there. If you do have any questions, don't hesitate to give me an email or call me. My email address is scott.spector@ems-exhibitsus.com.